Well, I mean, you can blame it on anybody you want to, but it's probably my fault.
No, I'm going to blame Gator Jay.
That's right.
It can be all our faults. Why didn't you ask for it a little bit earlier, huh?
Look, I was watching Buffy, and I jumped on.
You're watching Buffy?
Yeah.
Like the Vampire Slayer?
Of course. So I was watching till the end of the episode. I've seen the series multiple times, but
oh my God.
This is 3 episodes.
This is why you wanted to know if you had a night of rest, so you could watch the series again. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I had the box set. I had the DVD box set when that was a thing.
Good Lord.
I think I might still have it. Come to think of it, somewhere.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. Dude, I used to go out. So like when I'd go out to clubs or whatever when I was younger, and I was single, like I'd bang chicks and then let them go sleep in my bedroom, or leave them in my bedroom and then go watch Buffy, like just completely wasted, and like 4 a.m, just fucking bombed out of my mind, and just go watch Buffy after I bang some rando.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. And now you know the rest of the story. Oh my goodness. Jesus. Well, that's why you got to go to the back of Walmart. You can't even do it in the store no more.
Shane, you were sitting there. You were trying to take off for this episode, but this is like your time to shine. We're starting Dynasty Intervention this week with a little bit of a recap, and we're diving into some of the plays we actually want to take into 2023 with us.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
Yeah, this is like your show. Like we are live, man. We're live. We're live talking about Buffy.
Play the song. Play the song. God damn it!
Let's go. Let's go.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jakob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
Oh, Shane is hyped. I'm ready to rock and roll. And Fantasy J has done his first Dynasty show sheet. He's doing his first Dynasty show for Fantasy Intervention. So we have a lot of stuff coming to you. However, before I get started on this, I do want to take a second and say what happened on Monday night was absolutely horrendous. It was horrible. It's one of the worst things that I've ever seen on national television. It sucked. Like that's pretty much the best way that I can put it. Like prayers go out to Hammond and his family. It was absolutely horrendous. Now there will be questions that come across the show that we will be answering. There will be, certain angles that we have to look at as fantasy analysts to help you guys figure out what to do with your league in the best possible way. So if you do have those questions, feel free to bring them into the chat. But obviously our prayers and thoughts are out there for this young man who is just getting his career started. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop on to a little bit of a recap of what happened this past season in terms of the game that we like to play. And I will say that Gator J in his first year on the show ended up dominating. Although if I was here for week 17, if I didn't get my house flooded out completely, I would have had a shot. I probably would have won, but I didn't have a shot because Gator J ended up taking it home and my house flooded. So congratulations, Gator J. Finish up with 40 points.
Can I just say that's why you don't have sex with your roommates? So that when it goes bad, they don't flood your house.
Oh my God. Dude. All right.
I'm just saying.
Shane.
That's bad.
Shane. Bro.
Now we know why Shane has no roommates.
Shane. I need a drink.
Oh, good Lord. Yes, I did. I was able to dominate most weeks. And then I had a lot of help. Justin Henry came in one week when I was deciding to take a plane ride and sit in the Caribbean for a week. And Justin Henry came in and just smashed for me. Kind of like what Thomas did for Jakob a couple weeks back,
Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't count your victories as clean. Any of you guys, you had outside help, performance enhancers, if you will.
Not me.
Well, you didn't win. Him and Jakob definitely.
No, I came in second.
There was no rules about PEDs. There was no rules about instant substitutions. There was no rules about that.
I don't like any of it. It's all very shisty and shady to me.
You're sounding like a Philadelphia Eagles fan from like 10 years ago. That loser mentality.
And I'd like to say next year I plan on doing just as poorly because start sit is not my bag. It's partly why I like Dynasty because I just have a bunch of players and generally I go, all right, well, who are my best ones? That's who I'm starting every week.
That makes sense. And that's why we love you, Shane. That's why we bring you in here is to highlight some of the Dynasty aspects that we might not do as well with. So we're very appreciative of you being here, Shane. And it's okay to suck at start or sit if it's not your bag.
Right.
Even though I feel like if you did even a little bit
I give good life advice too, that like don't have sex with your roommate because when she gets mad at you, she'll flood your house.
That wasn't the case. Okay. Oh my God. All right. Let's go ahead and hop on to our first topic real quick.
Well, real quick. So I had to, doing the show sheet, I sent Chase a message earlier the week and I was like, look, what do we want to do as far as, the show and everything? Where do we want to go with it? And he's like, man, just go back and look at some of the old shows. So I did some research. And so this episode is now known as, and I don't know if Shane will remember this or not, but it is Epic-sode 101. Epic-sode. Since we're moving into the true fantasy form of Dynasty, it is Epic-sode 101.
I don't understand it, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, Shane, last year, this same episode last year, first episode after the season, Chase stumbled over his words and said Epic-sode.
I always stumble over my words doing something dumb, and then it ends up working out, like paint the taint. For the episode with Scott Fish, like it just ends up working out somehow.
So we're bringing back some of the old school stuff. I figured what the hell, why not?
Someone should watch those old shows because I'm not going to do it.
That's what we got Getter J for.
That's right. That's awful.
That's what I'm here for.
Hey, I don't think it was too bad, but no, let's go ahead and hop into this episode. Let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up for this upcoming season and some of the news and notes that we might want to highlight. Let's talk about. All right, so I don't. Do we need to talk about Week 18? Because honestly, like I don't think that it's necessary to talk about Nathan Peterman, or anything along those lines. Hopefully, like nobody has. Sam Howell, I do want to discuss for a second, but nobody really has like any kind of like big championship weeks, or hopefully you don't have too many championship weeks for Week 18. If you do, I'm sorry to hear about it. Week 17 was bad. Week 18 is going to be absolutely brutal, especially after everything going on. So if you have a Week 18 championship, get rid of it. We will answer your starter sit questions if you really want us to, but I mean, honestly, like I haven't done any research for Week 18. I don't think it's necessary right now. My time and effort is going into Dynasty. So, is there anything that we need to note for Week 18?
No,
I think you hit it.
No, you shouldn't play in Week 18. Just 2 years ago, you shouldn't play in Week 17. And if you do, I'm sorry. Talk to your commissioner, and if you are the commissioner, make the change. It's that simple.
Yeah, soon we'll have Week 19. We'll have 2 bye weeks in there. But no, or actually, we'll have to go to Week 20. We'll have 2 bye weeks in there. But no, I do think that there are implications that could lead to the future of some of the things that are going to happen in Week 18, such as Sam Howell coming in and playing for. Supposedly Taylor Heinicke is going to start, but he's going to end up playing over Carson Wentz. He's going to get some starting time over Taylor Heinicke. And honestly, I think this could be a massive impact because Sam Howell looked good. He fits the system. He's the exact type of quarterback that Ron Rivera likes to use. He throws these deep balls. He's accurate downfield, and he has a little bit of legs. So I think that Sam Howell is somebody that we should keep in mind is somebody that if your rosters are open for Dynasty, you should probably pick up and at least stash, especially in 2 quarterback leagues. I would even be tempted to do it in single quarterback leagues just in case some sort of freak thing happens that he's actually really good in this system. Shane, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, in Dynasty, I would assume he's already rostered. And what I would like to do is if he puts up any type of halfway decent performance is trade him immediately because he's a 5th round quarterback and they hit about as often as, well, they don't hit. They just don't. So if you can trade him for a second, just flip him, re-roll, definitely do that. So I'm hoping he goes out there and puts up a really proficient and efficient 230 yards and a touchdown. And we're talking about how poised this young man is and blah, 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 blah. And then if I have him anywhere on any of my teams, I can just flip him for a second and re-roll.
You think that he would go for a second?
Super flex. Okay, two quarterback or super flex. Yeah. Single quarterback leagues, he shouldn't even be on a roster in Dynasty or not, unless your roster sizes are like 70 and it's not IDP.
Well, so I have 30 person rosters.
No.
I think that he's all right. What about Stidham? Like if Stidham has a chance to be a starter for the Raiders?
No.
All right. So he shouldn't be rostered anywhere. What about, I don't know, how far down should I go? Daniel Jones.
Look, yeah, Daniel Jones, unfortunately, I really don't like him, but somehow he was a top 12 quarterback this year, right? And the Giants are apparently going to roll with him next year again. I think that's the unconfirmed reports. Let's see when they have to play a tougher schedule, what actually happens. But look, the guy went out and put up a QB1 performance when his leading wide receiver was Isaiah Hudgens, I guess, Richie James. I mean, so you got to imagine. Yeah, you have to imagine the Giants are going to get him some help and Wandell come back, right? So you have to assume the offense should be better next year.
And Colin Johnson will be back.
Here we go.
Colin Johnson will be back, bro.
Well, Daniel Jones was an RB1 because of his rushing upside. I mean, we saw what that did for our QB1. RB1.
Lamar Jackson takes over here.
Right. No, he was a QB1 because of his rushing upside. You know, so, I think honestly, going to the Sam Howell stuff, what we're looking for this week is to see what he's going to be able to do in this offense. You know, to like Shane said, to see if we're going to hold or try to gain a move up, because you probably picked him up in the 3rd or 4th round in your rookie drafts to see if you can bump that up to a 2nd round pick. I would be surprised to see if Heineke actually starts. I don't know why they would do that. They may as well just.
They already confirmed that he's starting.
Well, I mean, I saw the report that Heineke was going to start, and then they're going to have Powell in. But then I saw a report
Dallas is blowing the backs off the Washington football team or the Commanders. They're going to end up throwing in. They're going to end up throwing in Sam Howell. So
no, Sam Howell's getting the start. They came out later and said Sam Howell's getting the start.
Wait, they switched
this back and forth. Yeah,
it's the Commanders, so I can understand why you'd be confused because they'd say one thing at 10 a.m. and then at 12 noon they completely changed their stance because it's the Commanders, and I said this earlier in one of my patron chat that they basically have like the attention span of 3-year-olds. They're like, "Oh, is that Tyler Heineke? Oh, who's that Carson Wentz? Oh, Sam Howell." Like that's basically what they're doing. But yeah, now they're going to Sam Howell. They're just going to let him play, which makes sense because what do you need to see of Heineke? You know what he is.
Nothing.
He's a good spot starter. He's a good backup. He's a good locker room guy, I guess.
Great locker room guy.
Yeah, whatever.
But he could be really bad for the locker room if your quarterback's a good leader.
Here you go. All these euphemisms for he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's a gym rat, coach's son, whatever. Gritty. You can use all those euphemisms.
Wait, do the what? The gritty?
Yeah, he's great. He did the gritty. You can use all those euphemisms. He's just not a starting quarterback. So you might as well see what Hal can do in the one game.
So all right, Jarrett Stidham or Hal, which one would you guys rather roster if you had an option of the two?
Oh, wait, I stopped listening. What?
Stidham or Hal, which one would you rather have on your roster for Dynasty?
That's such a hard question because you got to look at what the weapons are, and you've seen what Stidham can do. You haven't seen what Howell can do, and I think honestly, I would rather have Howell with the mystery of what he can do in this next game, because what you could see, you could actually see Howell come out, throw for 300 yards, and McLaurin all of a sudden go off, and everybody's like, oh my God, there's my next quarterback, and now you're talking about a quarterback that you can trade right now in a dynasty league for. What, 203?
Yeah,
somewhere in that range.
And I got a second part of this question, so I'm not trying to decide between these two necessarily. I kind of was looking for
okay, so I'd probably prefer right now Stidham because he has one good game, right? So if he can piggyback another good game off of that, then look, hopefully there's someone in my league that's short-sighted enough to go, well, there's two good games. He's going to be the starter for the Raiders next year, and I can sell that. Yeah, Mike White. Okay. I can sell that. I can sell that easier than I can sell Sam Howell off of one game.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to go with it, right? Is which one would you rather have in a single quarterback league or if either one should be rostered? And Mike White was actually the first guy on here. Which one would you rather have, Howell or Stidham or White?
Again, I think the White train has run its course, as it often happens with these backup quarterbacks where they're magical. And then we see, oh, wait, this guy's not actually good at football. He's just not as atrocious looking as Zach Wilson.
And we saw the exact same thing this year as we did last year with Mike White. He had the boom game, and then just he came right back down to earth real quick.
Right.
All right. So then we have, let's see. Oh, I clicked off it. We have, I don't know. Let's go with Davis Mills or Stidham.
I guess Stidham again. I mean, Mills at this point, again, they are moving on from him. They were splitting reps with Kyle Allen or whoever the hell was splitting reps with him. At one point, they had Jeff Driscoll taking snaps. They've clearly seen what they need to see from Davis Mills, and the dude's back up.
All right, Ryan Tannehill or Stidham?
Ryan Tannehill by a lot.
Is Ryan Tannehill going to be a starter?
Yes.
Here's the thing, and we'll get into this a little bit later on, but this league has a quarterback problem, and it is massive, where you've got, a Stidham, you've got, like you said, Mills, you've got, players that shouldn't even be starters in the league that are starting right now. Okay. Whether that be because of injury or whether that because of talent, So,
I was just trying to gauge the interest of Stidham, essentially. Where should we start to cut it off?
It's minimal.
It seems like
it's minimal.
Okay.
Again, I'd flip either of these guys for anything. If I can get a third out of people, I'd probably flip them for a third.
What about a guy like that might be retiring, like Tom Brady? Would you take the chance?
Brady. I'll take Tom Brady because I'll take the chance that Tom Brady plays and gives me a top 15 QB season over the chance that Jarrett Stidham, Mike White, Sam Howell ever give me anything. I think the chances of him retiring, I'd rather take that risk. All
right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to our next question, which is the head coaching changes. we got a few of them that could end up happening. I mean, the Colts and Broncos, as Gator J noted in the show sheet, have already happened. Does Wilkes actually stay in Carolina? Is there a team that could really benefit, or a player that could really benefit from a coaching change moving forward, or somebody that we're looking forward to getting fired? And I know, for example, mine is going to be Cliff Kingsbury. I know that he just signed a new contract. I know this contract is really going to be tough to swallow, but I need to see Kyler Murray in a better offense. And whether it happens or not, it makes me nervous. And I'm not going to go out there and acquire anybody on this franchise as of right now. But the second that I hear that Cliff Kingsbury gets fired, I'm going out and I'm trading for Rondale Moore. I'm trading for Kyler Murray. I'm trading for Marquise Brown.
But here's the problem with doing that, and it's dynasty, is you're paying when their prices are the highest. Because clearly everyone's waiting for Kingsbury to get fired. There's nothing more than we all want Kingsbury to get fired. The smart play right now is to go get all the Kyler Murray you can get.
You think that Cliff is going to get fired?
Even if he doesn't, we saw Kyler Murray is his top 8 quarterback, even in a terrible Cliff Kingsbury offense. Even in that offense, he's going to have probably 6-7 months. I don't know when we'll see him next year, but this is probably the cheapest you're going to be able to get Kyler Murray. So now's the time to buy Kyler Murray. Rondale Moore is a figment. He's nothing. He's vapor. There's no reason to buy him.
He is not.
But
good.
Hollywood is a player I would be buying. Again, the community's generally and wrongly low on all the time.
Greg Dortch,
No, not Greg Dortch. Rondo Moore. You misspelled his name. All right. Is there another guy though? Is there another team or another coach that we could see a team moving on from? Do we want to see Wilkes in Carolina again next year? Would that help Sam Darnold? Would that help DJ Moore?
I don't know if it helps Sam Darnold at all, but I know the players want Steve Wilkes there, and I think he deserves a chance to be that coach. He brought them from nothing, from a fired coach that's now coaching back in college, and I think Wilkes is going to be a great fit in Carolina. But could you see like a Derek Carr jumping into that system, or they've got some weapons, but they've also got some draft capital, and I think Wilkes can use that and build that team back to something in the South. Even as a Bucs fan, I don't want to see it, but I think that's the right fit there. The other one that I would like to not say, I'm not going to say like to see go, but the other one that I think is on the hot seat is your team, Chase. I think Rivera is on the hot seat up there, with some of the coaching decisions
I
that
hope
they've
that's
made.
the case. I hope he gets fired. I hope he gets fired.
And not realizing that he's out of the playoffs.
He might not. But the thing is, he might get fired, and he might not realize he was fired.
That's the problem.
Up in the press conference. Like, I'm
they're
sorry,
gonna.
I was fired.
Wait.
they're gonna
I'm eliminated.
They're going to build a stadium in Arlington, Virginia, and he's going to be like, "Wait, I'm not moving with you." Why?
Dude, that was so embarrassing. Like as a Commanders, I've been talking about this for years now. How Ron Rivera should never been the coach. They should have gone after what's his name over there for Stefanski over there. It's just the whole situation is just embarrassing being a Commanders fan, which is why I'm not a Commanders fan. So stop saying my team. But
that's right. You're a Carolina fan now.
I'm sitting here and I'm going through teams. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss any teams. And somebody said that McDaniels was on the hot seat, and I'm like, Mike McDaniels was not on the hot seat. He might be one of the furthest coaches from the hot seat from any team that had 5 consecutive losses in NFL history. He's probably the furthest from the hot seat.
What about Tampa's head coach?
Byron?
Byron's not the head coach.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's I can't even think of his daggum name now, because I think he walked into a situation where he's not going to be able to handle it. That's an interesting one for me.
I don't think they move on from Todd Bowles after one season. I do think Byron Leftwich.
Does he get a chance?
I would like, I'm not impressed with what I've seen. Now that we've seen, and I was a guy touting him all last year. Like, he should have gotten some interviews. I thought, he should have got a head coaching gig. And I don't even like Bruce Arians, but now we see that he doesn't have the safety net of Bruce Arians there.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the offensive line is injured. I get that. You know what I mean? You got to make adjustments. Byron
Leftwich was never able to make adjustments, even in the NFL. That's why he kept on getting hurt, was because of his long windup and his inability to make adjustments in the game, during the game. And now we're seeing it as an NFL head coach, and it makes it even funnier because it's literally the same exact thing we saw with him as a player. I don't know that Byron Leftwich will make it throughout the offseason. I think he might have one more year to give, but honestly, I don't see what did we see last year? We saw a record setting 8 head coaches or something like that fired, right?
Yeah, I don't think we see that many, but I don't think Steve, just going back to Carolina, I don't think Steve Wilkes survives. That's his name, right? The guy, Jerry. I mean, maybe he does, because he's actually done a really good job since he's taken over.
In week 16, he had a blowout to put him in a position to win the division.
Yeah. And you know what? But we're also colored by the division they're in. In any other division, we'd be like, you are trash cans. But because they almost won the division by going, 2-6 in his 8 weeks or whatever.
An NFC East situation from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it that bad? Was it 2-6?
I don't know. Okay. I'm sure he got 3 or 4 wins, but either way, if he was in a real person's division, like a big boy division, we would not be as impressed. We'd be, I
think it's also like if the Carolina Panthers feel like getting sued, just like he sued the Cardinals for firing him. But
Well, he sued after he joined the
Brian Flores.
lawsuit after
Brian
Brian
Flores,
Flores. Yeah.
Yes, and one other coach did too, I think. All right, so let's talk about let's go ahead and talk about some of the recaps from this past year and talk about if we're going to actually invest in these guys in Dynasty moving forward. We have rookies of the year, and I'll start out with mine because there's one rookie running back who kept you afloat for 3 straight games if you ended up making the playoffs in the wild card position. If you ended up having the bye week, then you didn't really need him. But if you didn't have the bye week, this rookie got you 3 consecutive weeks. And there's another rookie running back, by the way, who got you 2 consecutive weeks, but not 3. He wasn't quite there. However, he cost you significantly more, possibly a full round, if not 2 rounds more. There's only really 3 rookies that did not lose you your fantasy championship. Every other rookie was brutal. But the one rookie, what's up? The one rookie that gave you 3 consecutive successful weeks in the playoffs, Tyler Algier, baby. He is my rookie of the year for fantasy. The value that you got him at was typically a late second, early third round pick. The only other running back that was valuable in the fantasy playoffs was Kenneth Walker. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. The only other rookie outside of Kenneth Walker that was valuable in the final week or in the championship week was
you realize you had to get to these games, right? Like so just for example, like
but if you played them, you probably
my rookie
lost.
of the year. Okay, there's variance, and I don't want to get into it because I'm not great with math. But variance is going to happen. I'd much rather a player, and I like Ken Walker. I just don't like how you're using Ken Walker to denigrate every other rookie player that was really good, like my guy was especially good. To say that he cost you the championship is silly because you probably wouldn't have made the playoffs, or he probably assisted you in making the playoffs. But go ahead, can finish your monologue.
Monologue. I'm telling you, Tyler Algier is a guy who I liked in the beginning of the season. I really wanted to invest in. I said at the beginning of the season,
so he's your rookie of the year.
Yes, he's my rookie
Tyler
of the year.
Your rookie of the year.
He's my rookie of the year because he got you to the fantasy playoffs.
No. He did not get you.
I'm sorry, he got you to the fantasy championship in the playoffs.
Okay, but if I was starting Tyler Algier the first 8 weeks of the year, how did I do at his that running back 2 position?
Hey, at cost.
If I started Tyler Algier as my running back 2, what did he do for me the first 8 weeks of the year?
The first 8 weeks of the year, he didn't do anything. But if you're drafting Tyler Algier in the first round, you're not going to need. I mean, in the third round, you're not going to need him to do anything, right? This is a cost versus reward like type system. This is a return on your investment.
So just so I'm clear, when Tyler Algier was bad for 80% of the year, well, that's probably a lot.
Well, he wasn't getting starts. He wasn't getting snaps.
When Tyler Algier wasn't giving you fantasy scoring for 65% of the year, that's far outweighed by the 4 games that he gave you fantasy.
Yes,
scoring,
because
and that's all that matters.
No, that's not all that matters. What matters is the return on the investment. You didn't draft Tyler Algier in the third round or the late second round to start him in week 1 through week 8, right? You drafted him in hopes that he would actually overtake Cordell Patterson, who was injury prone, who has had issues with playing late into the season. You drafted him to hope that he would be there for the fantasy playoffs, and he was. When it comes to like Breece Hall, right, he had 7 good games, but then he ended up getting hurt, right? When it comes to Kenneth Walker, right, he had a set amount of games, but he also let you down, but you had to spend an early second or an early first round pick, likely a top 2 pick, even in super flex leagues, right? And then he ended up letting you down if you were in the semifinals. What Tyler Algier did not do was let you down because you didn't have to rely on him. And that's why he's my rookie of the year.
Okay, well, that's wrong. So this is everything about what you just said is wrong. We need to start a listener league for Dynasty Intervention.
We have one. You jumped out last week. I won it last year.
One that actually matters.
One that matters.
Counts for money. You did some free league that no one cared about.
Shane, I'm going to go with mine, and then I'm going to let you do yours because I also agree with you. So I went with Kenneth Walker. And the reason I went with Kenneth Walker is over a 17-week period, he played 14 games. He averaged you 20 a game. Averaged you 20 a game as a rookie, and didn't even start playing until week 5 for the most part because of an injury. And when he came in week 5, he threw a 29 burger, a 25 burger, a 52 burger in his first 3 full games as an NFL player. Now,
wait,
I was
Kenneth
high.
Walker averaged you what?
He
20
averaged
points?
he averaged you 20 points over the 14 games that he actually played. You take out week 1, you take out the bye week, and you take out week 14, which he did not play. You 282.10 points over 14 weeks comes out to 20.14. That's math. I know Shane has a hard time with math, but I can do math, especially on a calculator. So you take 282.
Wait, which weeks
divided
were
by
you
14.
taking out? You
The
said
bad
for week
ones.
5?
Week 11, which was his bye week. Week 1, which he didn't play a single snap. And week 14, which he did not play a single snap. Any game that he played, I counted.
No, he only had two weeks of over 20 points. He averaged you 13.5 points. Come on now.
Well, I'm
Come on
looking
now.
at the
If you're coming
fantasy
to-
points right here. And he's
All
throwing
right,
up 50 burgers. Anyway, I was also higher on him than I was on Breece Hall, which a lot of people disagreed with, but that is your rookie of the year is Kenneth Walker. Go ahead, Shane.
Who's your guy, Shane?
I'm not really sure of any of the math. That was just, and I just need to reiterate, I don't believe any of the math that I just heard. And I'm not good at math. I don't want anyone to think that I'm, intelligent in that way. I'm not. But no, I'm going to go with Chris Olave. What I'll say is this: go look up rookie wide receivers that have averaged 13.1 fantasy, 13 points. Let's just say 13 points or more in their rookie seasons, and see what that list looks like on use StatHead. And if you're a patron, I'll just share their login information with you.
That's patreon.com/fantasy intervention. Patreon.com.
No, become a Dynasty Trades HQ patron, and I definitely won't share it with you. But if you DM me on the site, I'll definitely share it with you. But you just go look up rookie wide receivers that have put up 13 fantasy points in their rookie season, and just see what that looks like.
It's incredible. I remember doing some research on that a couple years ago. It's pretty nuts.
It's a very, very good cohort. And I'll say this: he was the wide receiver 5 of the class, and he's going to be the rookie wide receiver 1 in scoring. He's just outside of the top 24. I'm not adjusting for games played or anything like that. But if you adjusted for games played and we took out some of those randos that played like 2 games or whatever, he's probably a top 24 wide receiver. So he's had a really impressive rookie season with a really mediocre quarterback in a really mediocre offense. So I'm just and I didn't like Chris Olave at all coming into the season. Like I listened to a lot of the scouts, which, that's my fault, that were talking about him, saying that he was, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically soft. And that, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. And, if I would have just looked at his analytical profile, I probably should have been a little higher on him. That said, quickly learn from my mistakes. I like him a lot going in the next year. Dalton's not the answer, but you can't get significantly worse than Dalton unless you're going to, get him.
Yeah, and Jameson Williams was actually, Jameis Winston was actually a massive upgrade, from Dalton. It felt like when Olave actually had the opportunities, but it is a little bit concerning. Now, in terms of like these 3 rookies and the player that I want moving forward, like I don't want Algier moving forward. He was a value to me because of what he was able to do and what you drafted him for. You drafted him to be this late round hero. Like he was a 0 RB guy. And so if you didn't take running backs in the first few rounds of the draft, or you ended up with a situation where you needed an emergency running back and you had a guy like, Cordell Patterson, for example, like his running mate, or you ended up having Williams over there, Jamal Williams for the Detroit Lions, and that he's going to end up fading off. Like Tyler Algier was the perfect plug-in that got you where he's at. I don't think he's the number 1 dynasty asset. He's not the rookie that I want to own over any one of these guys. I'd much rather have Kenneth Walker. I'd much rather have Chris Olave. In terms of Chris Olave and Kenneth Walker, which of the 2 would you rather have moving forward, Shane?
I'm always going to go wide receiver. Just because running backs are more fragile and short-term investment. And I can get running backs. Like, look, Tyler Algier, who I was just trashing. Well, I didn't really trash. But Tyler Algier had a decent enough rookie season that if Atlanta doesn't draft his replacement or someone to join his committee there, you have enough reason to believe, all right, well, guess what? Tyler Algier can be my running back too. Just for instance, so they're easier to get in my eyes. And Chris Olave, especially based off the season that he just had, like I said, what it looks like he's going to be able to do. I really like Chris Olave a lot.
Yeah, and by the way, I do think Atlanta likely for this regime will spend a higher pick on a running back. But I mean, if Algier is the guy, that's great. Now, Gator J, which one would you rather have out of the two, Walker or Olave?
Yeah, I think I have to go with Shane on that because you're looking at a running back and you're looking at a 3 to 5 year deal, whereas you can have the wide receiver for way longer. But I do want to correct myself. I do want to make a correction because I was looking at a completely different league than I thought I was.
50-point outings. You realize how rare 50-point outings are?
Yeah. And when I said that the second time, it was like, you dummy. So yeah. Anyway, he's a 189-10.
Yeah.
So it's 13.5 points again. That's still pretty damn good for a rookie running back over a 14-game span. So, but yeah. So yeah, I think it would be Olave, and if I think there's a couple other wide receivers I would, rookie wide receivers that I would take over Walker as well. But, for this year, I just felt like, Walker walked into a situation and he was the best rookie in the situation.
Well, this is the big difference, right? Is we're about to see an influx of massive amounts of talent at the running back position from college, right? So Kenneth Walker's value could actually decrease just based off of the fact that these new running backs like Bijan Robinson, all these other guys with landing spots included, can end up jumping Kenneth Walker. I don't think that there's going to be a wide receiver in this class that jumps Chris Olave, maybe one, but I don't think there's going to be one that jumps Chris Olave. Shane, what about you? Do you think there's going to be a wide receiver that jumps Chris Olave?
I could see Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith and Jigba both jump him. Just because, one, we love rookies. Two, what Jackson Smith and Jigba did in his, I want to say, sophomore season, I believe.
Would have been, last year, not this past year, but the year before would have been his sophomore year. Yeah,
was absolutely absurd. And his breakout age, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm guessing it was 4 years old. And Jordan Addison, dude dominated at Pitt, went to another college and went, guess what? I'm dominating out here too. So I could say it, you know what I mean? I could definitely see someone doing it. Me personally, I wouldn't, because I've seen Olave perform and score 13 points a game in his rookie season. And that's what I'm hoping Jackson Smith and Jigba can do. That's what I'm hoping that Jordan Addison can do. So if I already had that, you know what I mean? Like just the trajectory based off what he's done in his rookie season. That's what I'm looking for from a rookie wide receiver. So why am I going to flip that for one player straight up? Now it'd be different if someone was like, hey, here's the 104, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jordan Addison are on the board. I'll trade you the 104 and the 201. And you give me Chris Olave. You know what I mean? Then I think about it at least, because it definitely wouldn't be a 1-for-1 type of deal, though.
No, I mean, you might as well go ahead and put Quentin Johnston on that list as well, because that's somebody else. But I think ultimately it depends on what the Saints do at quarterback and of course head coach as well. If you can have Olave, who did it with no quarterback, but if you turn around and you put either Quentin Johnston or you put Addison or you put JSN with a competent quarterback, they're going to blow the doors off of what Chris Olave did with an incompetent quarterback and incompetent head coach.
Right.
So, there's a couple of them that I could see actually surpass him, next year. But again, it all depends on landing spots. So.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop on to this next one. Who is your fantasy MVP? Jay, I'll let you take this one first.
Well, I had to go ahead and get this in here before Shane did, because I knew he was going to try to jump on this, because he's probably going to jump all over this guy. But it's Jalen Hurts, man. What he did this year with the weapons they built around him, and he absolutely used every single one of them as much as he could, and just absolutely blew the doors off of people every chance he got, whether he was rushing the ball, whether he was throwing the ball to what's that guy that big guy? It's a big guy from Tennessee. I think they got from Tennessee. What's his name?
Pretty good. AJ Brown, that gentleman.
That guy. Yeah, everybody was like, he ain't no good. That's why they traded him. Blah 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 blah. And then, of course, they had this young kid, who had 1,000 yards in his rookie season, and then they got Dallas Goedert. And then all of a sudden there's this Miles Sanders cat that decides, don't pick me up in fantasy football. And he decides to run the ball again this year. No, man, what Jalen Hurts did this year, I think surprised everybody. In all honesty, I think there was a lot of, even Philly fans were, there is no way that he is the future. There's no way. And what the ownership and the general manager did is build everybody around him and said, okay, Jalen, here you go. Here's all the tools you need. Here's your toolbox. You go play with your toys. And he did. Jalen Hurts, MVP.
There is one MVP for Dynasty of this season, and it comes for a couple of reasons. One is the scoring. The second reason is because people were starting to discount him because he had one of the best tight end seasons of all time last season, and the year before that. And he's getting older, so he was actually available at a discount because Mark Andrews came up and ended up having even better season than he did. Meanwhile, Travis Kelce was left out there to dry in most leagues. Now, I'm not saying he was free. He still cost you your first round pick, right? But he produced 50% more of the tight end 2, which I believe is TJ Hawkinson. Correct me if I'm wrong. For this past year. I mean, yeah, it was TJ Hawkinson. He produced 50% more points than TJ Hawkinson did. 33% as the whole from the tight end position more. I mean, Kelce won so many different people leagues, got him to the fantasy playoffs. Even in the championship, he had a subpar outing, right? He ended up going 7 receptions on 10 targets for 43 yards, but he still didn't lose you a week. He didn't give you a 0. He didn't give you 5 points. He still gave you double-digit points at the tight end position, which is hard to come by. This guy, this stud of a not even human being. I'm not even convinced he's human. He is the Calvin Johnson of tight ends. He will forever, for me, be the number 1 tight end in NFL history.
Calvin Johnson's not the number 1 wide receiver in NFL history, though. So I'm just talking
about a freak that separated your fantasy teams from other fantasy teams. Like he was able to get you points when it mattered. God damn it, Shane. I think that Kelce is by far the biggest stud in fantasy football. And Husker, he brings in the chat, he wasn't the best during the fantasy playoffs. No, he wasn't.
You told me earlier that's all that matters.
It is. No. As long as he didn't lose you weeks, that's all that matters. Like you have other, like for the rookies that I picked out, right? That you drafted early in your dynasty drafts. Like they left you with 0s. They left you with nothings. Christian Watson, who a lot of people started, left you with nothing, right? You have what? Drake London, like Garrett. Well, I don't think Garrett Wilson. No, Garrett Wilson left you with nothing. Garrett Wilson left you with 1 point, I think, in the finals. At least Kelce got you where you needed to be. So he got you to the playoffs. He was there during the playoffs, and then he had one subpar outing for his standards, but not for the tight end position. For his standards, he still provided you 11 points, and the tight end 5 was lower than 11 points this past season. Travis Kelce is the MVP.
Okay.
Really? With your philosophy, I think it should have been Mike Evans.
Yeah, you're based on your philosophy. It definitely should have been Mike Evans. So I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Mike Evans.
Yeah, I mean, he threw up what 40 some odd points in the championship game again. Second time he's done that in the last 3 years that he's done that. So just saying,
because
that was one game. Most people that went to the playoffs. You know what? Most people that went to the playoffs didn't make it. Thank you, Shane, for making that. Most people that went to the playoffs didn't make it to the finals with Mike Evans because they lost the week before that because he put up a burger for him. So.
But they didn't draft Mike Evans as a high-end wide receiver, so it wouldn't have mattered. Who?
Get out of here. He was a second-round pick.
I'll say this. It's hard to argue against Jalen Hurts. It's hard to argue against Travis Kelce. I would say that it's hard to argue against either of those guys. Probably for me, Patrick Mahomes. Considering there was a lot of chatter about him no longer being the QB1 in Dynasty, and people could tell. It was great watching people last year go, you guys are all new here. I've had Josh Allen as the QB1 in Dynasty for a couple of years now because Patrick Mahomes, like, shut up, stupid. It's Patrick Mahomes for me. His wide receiver core consisted of Juju Smith-Schuster when he could play, and then just a ragtag band of just
Kadarius Toney's not ragtag,
Yeah.
right? Like you need to take that back.
For me, it's Pat Mahomes, and maybe part of that is colored by the real life NFL stuff, because when you just see him do the ridiculous things that he does, and Jalen Hurts, I love what Jalen Hurts did, considering the cost.
If it wasn't for McKinnon, he wouldn't even be in the playoffs.
I don't want to hear it. I'm not in the playoffs. I wasn't in the playoffs because of Jalen Hurts, so I don't want to hear it.
So, but for me, I can't argue against any of those guys. To me, it's either Jalen Hurts or Pat Mahomes, and just because Jay's already went with Jalen Hurts, I'll go with Pat Mahomes. But really, I could see Jalen Hurts.
No, I like the Mahomes. I mean, what he does with no weapons. I mean, everybody talked bad about him. He's not going to be what he is. Blah blah blah. As soon as the Hill stuff went down, and he gets traded. Well, what are they going to be able to do without each other and whatever,
kind of reminiscent of Tom Brady,
yeah.
And what's great about that
they both succeeded very well.
Yeah, they both absolutely smashed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop on to this next one. Oh man, who's going to be a breakout player in 2023, not including rookies? I'll go ahead and start this one out. For me, it's Jameson Williams. We've seen him on a extremely limited snap count. I think he's seen 3 touches or 4 touches since he came back from injury, and we've seen how explosive this player can be. I would sit there and I was watching the game, and on that run that he had, right, the reverse that he had, I was like, who the hell was that? He just made everybody that's fast look not fast. Right, it's like that scene from The Longest Yard where he's sitting there and you just see Nugget run past everybody and make everybody look slow as shit. That was what you saw on that run. I was like, who the fuck was that? Of course, it was Jameson Williams running out there. It looked like people were standing still because of his athleticism. And if you do not have Jameson Williams on your team, if you don't have JMO, right, you need to go out and get him. He could easily be the wide receiver 1 for the 2022 class in 2023 with his hands tied behind his back, right? Just put the football behind him and let him run, because he is that athletically gifted. I am 100% stoked for Jameson Williams moving forward. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That's obviously my biggest concern, but he's somebody that could break your entire league. We're talking about another Tyreek Hill, essentially, in terms of athleticism and gifted abilities. I love Jameson Williams.
Yeah, there was a practice session a few weeks back, but I guess about a week or so before he came in and played whatever it was, 2 snaps in his first game, and the wide receiver coach says, I don't know if he can catch, but that motherfucker is fast.
It's the Antoine Randall.
Antoine Randall, yeah. He's like, I don't know if he can catch yet, but he's some bitches fast.
He told them 2 years ago. He's like, I need weapons. I need you to get me weapons. They got him weapons this past year, and now he's able to work with them, and he's a great coach, by the way. Very reminiscent of Deuce Staley over there being a great running backs coach. So I'm excited for what Jameson Williams has. Jay, who you got?
Man, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence. I truly think he can be the breakout player that we thought we were going to get last year. We're starting to see some of that this year, but he's got his allegedly wide receiver 1 right now, in Christian Kirk. He's got Calvin Ridley coming next year. There is nothing with it'd be his second year with Doug Peterson. I mean, good Lord, this wheels up in Jacksonville.
I don't know if I've ever seen a franchise with so many wide receiver 2s on their team.
Hey, listen, wait, you're fixing
1 next year.
Yep, they'll get a wide receiver 1 next year. You add. So now you've got your wide receiver 1.
Wait, they're going to draft one?
Yes. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Just add more weapons.
He was referring to Calvin Ridley or not? So
yes, very much so.
Yeah.
You think Calvin Ridley's a wide receiver 1 is going to come back as a wide receiver 1? I don't know if he'll come back as a wide receiver 1 at 27. Here's something I didn't know this until
he's gonna be like 35 next year.
No, he'll be 28. But here's the thing. Is I just found this out. Him and Amari Cooper are the exact same age. They both went to Alabama, and they never played a single snap together.
Yeah, that's because he came out so late.
No, it was a whole thing with his bringing up in childhood. But anyway, so he didn't even go to college until he was like 20. It was crazy.
No, he didn't graduate until he was like 35.
He still hasn't graduated technically. He's still in college.
He still has. Yeah, he's still there. He's still there. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to be my breakout for the 2023 season. Like I said, I could see them add another wide receiver. I would hope that they would go ahead and, as much as we don't like Ingram, that sometimes dude showed up this year as a tight end. They've built something there in Jacksonville, and I think with Peterson, T-Law in that second year, dude, I'm excited to see what's going on down there.
Yeah, I mean, I like T-Law. I wish I would have looked at the show sheet before now because I really like T-Law.
T-Law was great. He got T-Law before I did too.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm gonna go with I'll just go a simple, easy one. Drake London. The peripherals were there. The target share, even the raw targets, even in a low volume offense. They obviously know that Marcus Mariota wasn't the answer. It looks like they hopefully understand that Desmond Ridder is not the answer. Hopefully they don't go ahead and draft Bijan Robinson and then just turn Drake London and Kyle Pitts into nothing but full-time blockers. But I'm going to go with Drake London. The peripherals were great. If anyone's panicking, I would definitely be looking to get someone like Drake London for, I don't know, like a George Pickens, since he made all those fun, flashy plays that people like.
That's interesting because, like, if Desmond Ridder is a quarterback there moving forward, they have to go and acquire a veteran, right?
I would hope. I mean, and the thing is, there's guys available. There's going to be Jimmy G. There's going to be Derek Carr. There's going to be
Ryan
Tannehill. There's going to be, maybe, I don't remember what his cap situation is, but either way, there's going to be guys available that they can either draft someone or they can get at least a bridge guy that's not awful.
If Ryan Tannehill doesn't restructure, then it could offer. But no, they need a guy that knows how to run this offense, right? They need a guy that can run bootlegs, that has the speed to get to the outside, that has the knowledge of this, the same way that Tennessee operates, right? So, like, I feel like
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield's not mobile enough. Stop it. He doesn't have the legs necessarily. They'd much rather roll with Desmond Ridder. But yeah, it makes me a little nervous with London. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, as a Tampa fan, I'd love to see him back down in the South. I mean, I would. He seems like he's a better quarterback out west with a stretched out offense. And I say him into Tampa only being facetious. I think he's going to be fine out there in LA. The one that I would like to see them to go after would be a Derek Carr. I don't think he's going to be as mobile as you would want in Atlanta, but I think he's got the arm. I think he's got with a Kyle Pitts. He's used to having a dominant tight end like he had with Waller. So I think he can feed Kyle Pitts. And he can definitely get the ball to London. The question is going to be, are they going to be able to get him a running back? Not necessarily a Jacobs running back, but that style of running back and build up on that offensive line.
All right, so which player are you selling high on right now? For me, there is it's not a clear answer, right? Like you never want to move on from one of these top end assets, and guys like Devontae Adams aren't going to end up fetching the necessary, I guess, capital to move on from. There's nobody that really stood out to me as somebody that I have to move on from, like, right now to make sure that I end up returning my investment outside of Austin Eckler.
Ken Walker, George Pickens,
Brian Robinson.
I was thinking bigger picture. I was thinking of a guy like Austin Eckler, right? Because Eckler,
you're not selling him high. Though the problem is he's still a 29-year-old running back.
27.
28 years old running back going in will be a 28-year-old running back in Dynasty. So there's not going to be, when you're looking at selling high, honestly, there's like two categories. There's wide receivers and then there's young running backs, right? Unfortunately, Breece Hall blew his knee out, so you can't turn what he did in last year into something. You can turn Kenny Walker into something more, where we were talking about, maybe the move is, can I trade Kenny Walker for Chris Olave? Can I trade Kenny Walker for a couple picks in this draft?
I don't know. Derrick Henry was pitching 2 first-round picks last year. I mean,
not in any reputable league.
So what do you think Austin Eckler would catch finishing with the season that he just had with the finish that he just had, you're riding high right now. Like you're riding off of a 40 or 30 point performance currently.
Mhm.
Like this is something where, hey, this guy can end up being special. He's finally in the right offense. He's finally in the right system. And guess what? He didn't play over his first 3 years. He very rarely played. Like, so he's pretty much like a Calvin Ridley, essentially, at the running back position.
Yeah.
Except for he's actually good and Calvin Ridley's not.
He's still a running back, and he's still 28 years old. And all that said, even if he is an outlier, it doesn't matter. The market's not going to look at him as like an outlier. Look, Derrick Henry, who I think he just put up, what was a running back 2 on the season, something like that. I'll go I'll give a 112 for Derrick Henry. I'll give the 111 for Derrick Henry. I'll give the 110 through 112 for Austin Eckler. But outside of that, I'm not going to pay up.
Really?
Just not. No.
Okay.
Not in Dynasty. I'm not going to do it.
So I'll give you my guy, and I went kind of the same way with Chase. I just went a little bit younger, and I went Josh Jacobs because I don't think that you're gonna, you're not going to be able to get him any, I'm not going to be able to sell him any higher than I am going to be able to now.
Are you just taking comments from our chat and just repeating what's happening in the comments?
I like what they're saying because that makes it easier.
Yes, let's go with Huskers. Let's go with Huskers. He's running back. He's running back 3 on the year, and he bet on himself this year and proved that he is a high end wide receiver or a running back 1. So, Shane, what do you think he's going to grab in the market? If I were to try to trade him right now, could I get a top 6, probably 6 pick? No. I could probably get a 6 pick, right?
No. You could try. So again, I'm jilted by the leagues I play in, right? I play in leagues where we generally don't pay up for running backs. It's like a game of Russian roulette. It's like, go ahead. What are you going to do? You're going to hold on to them? Fine. You know what I mean? It's one of those deals. So in a league I'm in, I'm not giving up anything more than like the 109 right now for one of these elderly running backs.
But he's 24, 25.
25 and 26 is...
no, he's 24 now. He'll be 25 this
So he'll be 25 season. So, I mean, look, what would you rather do? Could I, at the 106, what could I do with that? You know what I mean? What's the opportunity cost? What am I giving up for that? For the 105, I could be getting one of the top 5 or one of the top 4 quarterbacks of this rookie class. And in the super flex league, that's much more valuable than Josh Jacobs, even if I just make the pick.
Okay, so you would want Will Levis over Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, or the flexibility to take Will Levis, and I don't even like Will Levis.
Right. Well, I know that's why I threw him in
from
there.
A personal level. Like
when you said a top 4 quarterback, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to throw Will Levis in there. I mean, I know the answer to, the Bryce or the CJs over Josh. I get that.
Yeah.
All right, so let me propose a quarterback to you guys. Let me get your take on this. I mean, people still have high hopes for Justin Herbert, right? Like, I mean, it hasn't been pretty. He's QB 12 on the season. Mm-hmm. Like, that's actually really ugly for Herbert. Herbert is projected to be a top 5 quarterback. But, I mean, would you guys move on from him currently in Dynasty for, let's say, 2 mid-round, first-round picks?
No.
Well, you got to remember that for the first, 10 games of the year? 13 games of the year, he only had 1 wide receiver, out of the 2 main wide receivers. Keenan Allen was either hurt or Mike Williams was hurt, And, man, I just don't think I can move off of Justin Herbert at this point.
No.
Daniel Jones had no wide receivers the entire season and finished 5 spots higher.
Yeah, no, I'm not based off what I saw on Justin Herbert's start of his career. What I would do though is I would test the waters. See, can I trade Justin Herbert for Trevor Lawrence plus something like that? Someone who I believe is actually probably in his tier now. Last year I would have done the same, trying to get Joe Burrow, but unfortunately, I think Burrow surpassed Herbert in Dynasty, so you won't be able to make that move.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think anybody's selling Herbert at this point. Huskers saying I'd buy Herbert right now in Dynasty. If anything, anybody that invested in Herbert at any point, whether it was a draft pick or a trade, probably is not moving on from that position. And by the way, Husker, AJ Brown is not a sell high. Let's go. Let's go ahead and move on to I think it's our final question, I believe. What player are you buying low right now? And then Shane, I'm going to give you a second for this because we're going to answer this question. And then we have one last one, which is give us a hot take for the Dynasty season. But this one is, which player are you buying low right now? Jason, go ahead and give yours. It correlates with your other position.
It correlates back to my the breakout player, and that's going to be Calvin Ridley. Is going to be my buy low right now, because you're not going to get him any lower. I mean, as soon as he steps on the field, as soon as you start hearing the news in the offseason that he's practicing, that him and Lawrence have any kind of chemistry, that, whatever the news coming out is not good for a buying situation. So yeah, it's Calvin Ridley. Go buy him now, especially if you've got a Lawrence on your team. Gives you the stack right away.
Yeah. So when you figure out that you waste all your draft picks trading for Calvin Ridley, and after he busts because he doesn't fit the system that they want to run over there for Doug Peterson, you're going to end up wanting to acquire Terry McLaurin, like I did earlier today. I sent over a 2024 second round pick for Terry McLaurin, and I understand Terry McLaurin is the same age as, arguably.
Wait, stop. Did the cops come a knocking? You did. What did you send for Terry McLaurin?
2024 second today.
So 2 years from now.
Well, 1 full season from now.
Yeah, theft. That's what you should have been charged with.
He'll be 29. It was a rebuilding team. It made sense. Like, if teams are rebuilding, why would you want Terry McLaurin to ruin your potential stats? Plus, if this is a complete gamble, right? Because if Washington doesn't acquire a good quarterback, if Sam Howell isn't any good, then you're screwed with Terry McLaurin unless Taylor Heinicke's starting for the next 2 years, right? We've already seen what happens with Carson Wentz when he's at the helm. Like, Terry McLaurin doesn't see anything, so it's a complete gamble. But I'm willing to play that gamble for a late 2024 second round pick. Excuse me. I think that Terry McLaurin, the chances of him getting a good quarterback are probably around 30 to 40%. The chances that Taylor Heinicke is starting at the quarterback position is about 20%, maybe 15%. So at least you have a 50-50 chance of having Terry McLaurin in a better situation than what he would be with Carson Wentz. 2024 second round picks probably aren't going to end up hitting from the research that I've been doing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shane. There's some really good wide receivers at the top tier level. I just don't see the draft being as deep.
24 class?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's deeper than you think it is. It's wide receivers. I mean, it's got some quarterbacks and definitely got some wide receivers in it.
Yeah, I think it's there. But every time that we see this a year out, then we also have players get hurt. We also have players that end up pushing their draft eligibility back, especially the wide receiver position, because they see too many wide receivers that could end up getting drafted ahead of them. They want another season to dominate. It happens every single year.
Absolutely.
So I do think it's going to be very top heavy. I think it's going to be extremely top heavy over the first 8 to 10 picks compared to previous years. This year, however, or 2024, however, in the later rounds, I think it ends up fizzling out because of the level of talent, because players will push back their eligibility. But yeah, I really, really think that Terry McLaurin has a way better opportunity to perform as a top 15 wide receiver than he saw this past year, which I think he finished in the top 20. Anybody?
The only thing I'm going to disagree on is I think the class for 24, at least as it appears right now, is a little bit deeper than what I think you think. But again, this is why I said I feel like you stole Terry McLaurin for a 24 second.
Either way, that's cheap. It's a year away. You've got time to get a second back. I give up a second for most any functional top 25 wide receiver in the league, and that's what he is. Buy low. I just have like I don't have specific names, I guess, but I have a couple guys like that are perpetually
George Pickens
undervalued.
I'm just kidding.
Hollywood Brown. Chris Godwin is undervalued. Look, to me, buying low isn't really a thing anymore in most of the leagues that I'm in, but I am looking to get guys that I think are undervalued. And I think guys like Chris Godwin, who's a wide receiver 1, but I don't think people recognize that because he started off, getting injured and then a little slow, but he's a wide receiver 1 in points per game. Guys like that. Marquise Brown, who's perpetually just always undervalued. He seems to be recovered from the foot injury, so I'm no longer worried about his brittle foot disease. Just any wide receiver like that that's still fairly young, that's still under the age of 26 or so.
All right. I do want to answer that question as well while we're on you, Shane. What is Shane willing to pay for Ridley in Dynasty?
It's going to depend on what leagues I'm in, or what my roster construction looks like, how many picks I have, et cetera, et cetera. But I could stomach giving up a couple seconds for him.
Would you do like a 23 second and a 24 first?
No.
Okay. 23 second, 24 second.
Right. Yeah. Look, just because I like a player and I don't think the market's high enough on him doesn't mean that I'm going to overpay for him or even pay what I think he's worth, because he is also a 29-year-old wide receiver. So I don't want to be shipping out 24 first for someone like that I can't guarantee is a top 7 wide receiver like Devontae Adams, Steph Diggs, Tyreek Hill, etc.
Right. And that's why I asked it as a 24. Okay. So if you had two 23 seconds, would you do 2 23 seconds, or would you try to hold on to one of those? Okay. All right. Yeah. I just wanted to get Husker all the info before he sends the offer that he's already sent.
Yeah. He's sending it to me now.
Husker. I love it. All right.
Send it.
All right, Jay, what you got, man?
Man, this was fun. This was fun as a Dynasty show. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm glad Shane can actually enjoy the show now and actually pays attention on some of these. You know, that was phenomenal.
50%.
Yeah,
like
but
what I give Terry McLaurin of getting a good quarterback.
But that was 50% more than the 50% that he normally gives us. So,
Husker, real quick, bro. Look at the rest of my team in the where you just made me an offer, man. I can't be giving up seconds for that. I need my seconds.
Oh, good Lord. What a night.
Jay, did you already give your guy that you're?
No, you want to? Yeah, I already did. Right, Calvin Ridley. You wanted to hear the hot take for 2023. Oh man, this is so hard because I hadn't really thought about this. It was something you just brought up. I'm gonna say 2023. Three teams. I want to do like something crazy, but I can't do it. I ain't got cojones like that.
You have to do it.
Okay,
it's a hot take.
All right.
Who are you, Taylor Cornell?
Three of the teams that are going to make the playoffs, both 1 seeds and a 2 seed, do not make the playoffs in 2023. So it would be like the Bills.
I meant for fantasy.
Oh, you meant for fantasy?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't care about real football.
Oh,
yeah, we're talking fantasy football, bro.
Okay, well then you got to move on to go over to Shane. Let me think about this for a second.
I don't know. I don't really have hot takes. Hot take for 2023. Bijan Robinson is going to score more than 30 points a game. Is that a hot take?
That's a ridiculous take.
I just said 30 points a game. That's Christian McCaffrey levels, by the way. Christian McCaffrey, like all time, like best seasons of all time level. Yeah, that's what I'm saying for Bijan in his rookie year. And the wide receiver 1 of 2023 is going to be Chris Olave.
Fair.
Oh, I think you're just throwing that out there for the fuck of it.
No. I'm looking at the rookies that I think it could be. You know what I mean? And the guys that it isn't already, and it's Olave, it's Drake, it's Garrett Wilson are the 3 that really pop in my head as I go, all right, if someone could do it, it's one of these 3. And I think we've seen Chris Olave with a fairly Husker, if we make it a pay league, I'll get back in.
I'm buying everybody a trophy that wins.
I can't pay attention to leagues that don't.
I'm buying you a trophy.
I don't care about that. If there's no money in the league, it doesn't matter.
All right, you can pay Shane. I asked for $15. I asked her for $15.
That is not real money. $50 per person.
All right, we'll discuss it in the league.
I'll stay on brand. I'll say hot take will be Trevor Lawrence QB1. You will have
Is that a true belief? You really believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to be QB1?
I think he can be. I think he can be. Absolutely. 100%. If they put the weapons around him like they did up in like Philly, putting the weapons around Hurts.
I mean, yeah, look, if they give him Ridley, obviously is going to be there. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we just decided to go draft Quentin Johnston.
Well, they would have to because they need a wide receiver 1. Like they don't have one.
You go get Quentin Johnston and then you continue to look. Jared Goff is a not a great quarterback, but hell, he was a QB1 this year. but overall QB1 is what I'm getting at. I think Lawrence can be overall QB1 23.
I like it.
All right, I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney.
What, plays the game? A full game?
I think that the Chiefs training staff is a lot better at keeping their players healthy than any other staff prior to. And I think they spend the offseason getting them healthy. We've seen players, and I've done research on this, and I don't remember which players they were, to be honest, because it was something that came up, maybe 15 minutes before the show started or 10 minutes before the show started. So I didn't have time to look up my research. But there are certain staffs who do a better job keeping their players healthy throughout the season. The Chiefs are one of them. Right? He only spent half season with the Chiefs. Something happened almost immediately, but the entire offseason will be spent working on Kadarius Toney and his health and making sure he's an asset to this offense. Sky Moore is now, in the game. Like, they're going to be stretching the field out, but Kadarius Toney is going to take over that slot position, which we all know Patrick Mahomes loves. Meanwhile, Travis Kelce is getting a little older. Like, we could see some turmoil. So I'm going to say that Kadarius Toney finishes as a top 12 wide receiver in 2023. All right. I forgot to go over this. By the way, if you guys want a championship trophy, if you guys want a championship ring, if you guys want a championship belt, which you can see over my shoulder, trophies over here, make sure you guys go to trophysmack.com. You guys can actually find the link in the show details. Make sure you guys use that link. And when you guys go to use the link, use promo code CIRCLE. Once again, that's promo code CIRCLE when you guys purchase a trophy or a belt. Make sure the ring is in your cart. It can even be a custom ring. Some tier 6 bitches. Okay, make sure you go and you put in the promo code CIRCLE with the ring and the trophy or the belt in your cart. When you go to checkout, you'll actually get that ring for free. Use promo code CIRCLE or use the link in the chat. Listen, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys. And thank you all for listening to our Dynasty Advice. We'll see y'all later.
Pew!